On today's episode of In the Building, we sit down with Renee Wright and Wayne Taylor, and they share their experiences in Milwaukee. Also, we'll be discussing the human service programs. Do they do more harm than good? And in schools in Milwaukee, do you trust them? All this and more on In the Building. Yeah. It's your girl, Miss PG, and welcome to a very special episode of In the Building. When most people think of Milwaukee, they think of cheese, that 70s show, Happy Days, or beer. But for those who be living in the city, we know that there's more to the story. Joining me today is comedian and TV host David Abu, rapper and producer CEO of BrewSky Entertainment, Jwill. David, how would you describe Milwaukee?
I would describe Milwaukee as a city that has a lot of talented people, but it seems to me there's no vision from leadership into furthering that talent. I mean, look at Milwaukee. We had Harley Davidson, Miller Brewing. Right. But nowadays, I think it's declining because people are being inundated with fear by our leadership, saying, oh, we have no money, we have no resources to further your dreams. So I think everybody's in it for themselves instead of being together as a community to get visions of people done.
That's how you. So, Jwill, how would you describe Milwaukee?
I mean, I semi-agree with him. You know, I just got a different way of saying it. I look at it as a city with limitations. You know, it seemed like it's a limit to everything possible as far as in the entertainment field, every day having fun. There's really not many things to do here, you know, right. So it's like, I just look at it as a city with limitations, and it's causing a problem within the communities that particularly I be in. Right. You know, so eventually it's gonna spread.
You think it's gonna spread?
Yeah, it's gonna spread.
I mean, as far as like things to do, like it's not really a lot of things that youth can do besides like the Boys and Girls Clubs, but it's like outside that once you get a certain age, you can't really go there anymore. So like, it's hard to say, you know, that we have things for them to do. So it's like, right. I don't know what else, you know, it's like crazy because it's like, it's teens out there that don't go, like, it's too old to go to the Boys and Girls Club. So once you get to 12, 13, you just running around aimless and there's not really no structure like there used to be. It's like there's no place where everybody can go and be able to, you know, get.
But that's a problem too, though, you know, because it's like you got the Boys and Girls Club, but that's almost where it stops. It's like, why that got to be the only thing, you know, out there. Right. When I was a kid, it was a lot more things going on. You know, I guess you could blame it on the limit of money. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know for sure, but it's just a lot of things is just gone in general of all age ranges, you know?
Right. So, Abu, when you was like younger, what did you do for like, when you turned 13, what was you doing running around for, you know, like?
Well, I was pretty much an anti.
Was you in this country when you was 13?
Yeah, I was in this country. I was kind of antisocial.
Antisocial? Yeah. So?
But I did the YMCA. But just to bring back the Boys and Girls Club, you can go until you're 18 years old. Oh, you can? Yes, until you're 18 years old. But I think people want to build stuff, but I think they have that fear that it may be sabotaged if they build some things. You know, right now I coach and teach at the Boys and Girls Club. Okay. And we just saw 2 break-ins already, and that's why I think people are not putting forth some of the resources. That might be a reason. I think that's stupid because you can't let fear dictate your course of action in life.
Yeah, you know, and that's crazy because for some reason the majority of people make the younger crowd makes smart being a non-cool thing.
It's not cool to be smart, you know. You know having knowledge is like a disadvantage sometimes.
So it's going to take somebody to take that extra step and to make it cool to set trends and to do what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's why a lot of times it takes people from the hood or somebody you can relate to send you that message to do something better, because when they hear it from somebody that's already, you know, they're going to feel like they talking down on them. Right. It's like, hold on, you can't tell me what you want me, how you want me to live. But if you hear it from Tupac, you might consider it.
Yeah, Tupac did make a lot of things relevant to be smart because he was very educated. And a lot of people, you know, they were like, well, Tupac was smart and everything. And like, you have to have that knowledge. Just because you're smart don't mean that you're not still credible in the hood, so to speak.
I mean, I was a teacher too for alternative education, and the kids have a lot of good ideas. They have a lot of desires, and I think adults kind of control them and say, no, you can't do that. Well, if that's a passion of him to be a comedian, entertainer, doctor, lawyer, why crushing their dreams by saying, well, only 1 out of 1,000,000 are going to make it? No, you sit down and think, why do you want to be this thing? And then think outside the box. Everybody's so traditional thinking, one-way thinking. They don't look.
It don't help that our government is the most hated right now. Surpassed, So, I mean, and because of that, I mean, he kind of gave us a reason to, though. So it's like a lot of things going on right now. It's like a lot of people is moving out of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So when I see people from different places, I can't help but to ask, what made you move here? I know people trying to get up out of here. I feel like Milwaukee is the new Mexico, it's like we striving to get up out of here, That's the goal. Ultimately, your goal would be to be successful. Yeah. Well, in order to do that, you gotta leave Milwaukee. So now people goes here is to get out of Milwaukee.
Right.
But here's the thing, though. If you look at Wisconsin and all the things Wisconsin's produced in the United States, Kohler, Miller, Harley, Heineken, all these companies, we started that stuff.
They're gone.
Right.
And now we're gone. So something happened.
Okay, so that's how we feel Milwaukee is. So it's like that was our little views on how we feel it is Milwaukee. So we all have our ups and downs. And living in Milwaukee, we sat down with Renee Wright and Wayne Taylor to get their viewpoint.
What is to live in Milwaukee?
It's a small city compared to other cities. It has a lot of diversity.
What are your biggest challenges?
Making ends meet.
Money.
Yeah. Because check to check, week to week, month to month, or whatever, it's like a lot of times you barely know where this one's coming from. So if you want to have a future for your offspring and stuff, you want to know where that future income is coming from.
Just having enough of everything, whether it's having enough money in case one of them needs something, a new pair of shoes, or it's time for a field trip. It's always, when you have kids, you always got to expect the unexpected, because like you think you're getting 2 steps ahead, but then you fall back 5.
But having to pay for service fees and taxes and other backwards, philosophies in our financial markets that's really not working for the little guy.
Right.
And, the family is the little guy.
They also stress the importance of paying attention to your kids at school and setting great examples.
You always want to check what your kids do, especially if they're at MPS, because a lot of these teachers, they're not explaining to these kids what this homework comes
there to, provide a good example. Because you know what I'm saying? It's like...
Some times happens that leaves us out of our control, loss of a job, a family member in need of health care, which can be costly, or just the daily struggles of putting food on the table can be challenging. That's why there's a strong need for human services program. But do these programs really help their clients? Oh, I wasn't sure. So Jwill, how do you think that W-2 really helps the people, or do you think it's like a downfall?
It helps, but it helps and it doesn't help.
Right.
Because it's obvious you need it if you're going to apply for it.
Right.
But what is you left with? It's like either or. Either I can pay my rent, or I can pay the light bill.
That's
I never get enough to do both. You're supposed to provide me with enough to take care of my household. Mm-hmm. You ain't worried about my food. That's fine and dandy. I got food stamps for that.
Right.
But this money supposed to cover my household. So you're saying I can have a house without lights, you know?
Which is like a lot of people's decisions when they get their money, like regardless if they work or go to school or apply for W-2.
Right.
The whole purpose is to be able to afford rent, provide for your children, and pay the electric bill, which we all know is very costly here in Milwaukee. So, Abu, do you think W-2 helps or do you think it hinders?
Well, I don't think anything 100% hinders or helps in life. I think it does help a little bit. But my thing is, I think we become a society of receiving, and not doing anything. See, if I'm handing out money, at least you can do something. You can go volunteer somewhere, at least for an hour or two at the soup kitchen or something, get some skills, learn some skills. But just to receive, and don't put forth any kind of effort. No, hold on.
I'm gonna let him finish before I interject, because you know I got something to say.
Here's the thing that really took me up: the Badger Care program, right? It's zero. You pay nothing. You mean to tell me that you can't pay at least $5, $10? You're getting 100% free health care.
Okay,
and that's
I ask you
why.
A question? Do you know how much people receive for W-2?
Huh?
Do you know how much a client will receive getting
No, I
W-2?
don't have the numbers on that, but.
Do you know most families that are on W-2, they only get $653?
Okay.
So if you have $653, you have to pay your rent, your electric bill, your telephone bill if you're lucky enough to have a landline, plus provide for your children. And you think they're still supposed to be able to pay for health care as well?
Who got time to volunteer for anything if all their time they need to be invested on getting money?
And with being on W-2, you have to go do certain things.
Because you know what I'm saying? If I need a government assistance, I don't have no time to spare my brother. I'm trying to make some money.
You can spare a half an hour. Listen,
I'm not. I'm volunteering to get a job.
When you're okay,
that's what I'm volunteering.
I'm glad you just mentioned the job, because one of the little boxes on the job says volunteering.
Because it's volunteering paying though.
No, because it's volunteer. You don't get paid. Do you know if you on W-2 that you have to go through, like, you have to search for a job? You have to search for a job.
I'm not saying. I'm not.
Listen, you have to do like 20 hours of job searching, plus volunteer at another place that they want you to do for another like 4 hours a day. That's what you have to do all day to receive this $653. Now, say you don't show up for one of these scheduled things that they have, they sanction you a whole $5 for an hour, regardless if you was 5 minutes late, 15 minutes late. So by the time you actually probably get your check, you don't even have the $653 you're supposed to have started off with. So you have to go and volunteer for 4 hours a day, plus look for a job after you did this volunteering. Turn this all into your worker by Friday by 5 p.m. I know these things because I've.
Where are you getting this 4 hours? Where are you getting this 4 hours of volunteering thing from?
That's where it's scheduled inside, because you get a WE plan. They call it. It's the plan that you have to follow in order to receive your W-2 services. So they have you go through all these little appointments and these meetings. You have to sit there. They talk to you like you have no type of education because you went to W-2. Once you even say that I need W-2, they deem you as retarded, not able to comprehend anything. You no longer have knowledge of any, no matter how far you went to school, no matter if you have a diploma or not, if you ever went to college, doesn't really matter. Once you said you need W-2, you're the bottom of the barrel. You're going to have to go do this and do that and do this and do that in order to receive this check. And if you don't do exactly everything they stipulate for you to do, they cut it.
All I know, I need to use the Badger Care thing, but you know what I told them? I said, I could care less about your program. I'll pay like $50, $75, but I can't afford $300-400 a month for health insurance. That's all I'm saying. I said, I'm not like one of these, that's going to pay zero, nothing. I understand I got to pay, put
but
forth
you understand that the people that have to apply for W-2 aren't able to pay this $15, $25 that you're willing to pay because you're working. But with them not working, they're not able to do that.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of needing the services.
Well, that's where you got to think outside the box and how you can survive better. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
We understand that.
When people are receiving stuff, they don't think outside the box.
Yeah, they do. They think that they had to go do and all these other things to receive that. But yeah, it's supposed to help, but it doesn't really help because it gives you other things that you have to make different in order to make the things work, and it just doesn't.
I heard a story
well for each one.
I heard a story about a guy who was going to make $40,000 a year, right? And he said, you know what? I can make more in welfare than like $40,000. That's
totally incorrect.
Well, that's what he said. He said I can make more money from the government helping me out from assistance than me working construction.
Totally disagree.
Well, here's something.
Whoa.
I'm the messenger.
That's a bad message because it's not exactly true because it doesn't even give you enough to survive. They say no child should be left behind, but with the closing of many local area schools and falling grades, do you have faith in Milwaukee's public school systems with choice programs? My whole thing with public and choice is it really doesn't make a difference. They all are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, in my opinion, at this point. Public schools, teachers just sit there and just give them work and expect them to all learn, and you ask them a question, and they don't even do it. So, Jay, well, I know we was talking. You said you feel differently about the school system. What do you think?
I mean, if we going off education standpoint, which school is all about, then ultimately I would prefer private.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, me personally, you know, I've been to public schools, and this is the thing, right? When your kids is doing bad in the public school and you send them to a private school and their grades get a little better, you know, you can argue that it was the difference with schools, right. But in some cases, it's like, it's as simple as doing the work. That's all you have to do.
True.
You know, I done been to classes when I was in school, when I was younger, going to school. A lot of people didn't pay attention, making planes, shooting around. Them the kids that had bad grades. You go to private school, things change because your main focus is on this work because they got a different way of stealing your attention. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, it's on the child. The child was the one not paying attention to the work. You know what I'm saying? When I was going to school, I do my work, then I'm making paper planes. You know what I'm saying? So I handled my business, but then I did some kid things too.
But like,
most people send their kids to private school because they cheap. They don't want to buy clothes.
No, not necessarily. That really has
I'm
nothing
just keeping
to do
it
with
real.
Not all private schools have uniforms.
Yeah,
and that's all you got to worry about.
Uniforms are costly, though.
I said not all of them have uniforms.
You buy 3 pair, and I can wear that the whole year.
That has
not
nothing
all,
to do
not
with
all
the choice.
Private schools have uniforms, though.
Right. That's not necessarily the reason for private schools. Private schools is for your child to supposedly have a better education.
Yeah.
Because they have smaller classrooms, the teacher really cares about their jobs, and they actually try to work with the students. Now, mind you, I have children that's in public and private school. The stories I get back from the kids that are in public school is the teacher don't help me answer my questions. I ask a question, they tell me I should know it already. Versus my kids in private school, they have programs and they sit there one-on-one and make sure your child is doing everything they need to do to pass these tests in order to be deemed normal in society to make sure that they can.
I was in AD class. We had 2 teachers, sometimes 3.
You know why
if that ain't enough, it's a problem.
You know why teachers can't answer questions? Because they don't know how to teach.
So you feel
my daughter's struggling in math class, okay? She bumped her grade up, but I don't think her teacher knows how to teach. I think children learn different ways.
True.
Hey, but before you continue, can I just ask you something, though?
Yeah, what?
If your kid is doing bad at something, why can't you help him? Why y'all got rested fully on the teacher? Like, when they come home, it's things you can do as a parent, too, though.
True.
You do realize that, right?
True.
Right.
But at the time when they're in the school, if they ask the teacher for help while they're there, that teacher it's that teacher's job to show them why they're there. Yeah. Now, once the teacher explains it, if they answer the question they don't understand it, then of course the parent's supposed to step in.
Because some of the homework they give you are actually stupid.
I have to agree with that.
Oh my God.
I have to agree with that. Some of the homework they come with, you be like,
what are you talking about? I can tell you 3 different answers to get you the answer here.
It's like homework is totally different from when we went to school.
Yeah, but I think it's different on a different level, though, because I was the one bringing home the stupid work. Now, these days, kids about 2, 3 years old, what's 100 times 3,000 and all this, you know, you got multiple numbers, divide all this. I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think learning process is a lot more than it was then, because I see kids learning when I was learning in 6th grade in the 1st grade.
Yes,
so I don't know what y'all talking about.
Advancing. It is homework is advancing, but
really
it's like sometimes it goes over.
I got the experience because I taught alternative education, right? Some of these kids can like recite a rap song, a song like word for word.
You know why?
Okay, they're listening to music or watching something on TV. They can give you the whole script of a movie. Then why aren't education using that medium to teach the kids?
And you know,
do a rap and math and stuff like that.
And that's why, because
there's no vision. That's why there's no teachers have creativity.
They frown on things like that. There's too many limitations in school. You can't practice religion. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's like it's so much going on. The world is so many limitations. They don't want lawsuits and all these things going on. The world is sensitive in general. So that's why, like you said, if we would teach from a thing that makes somebody interested, they have to be interested in what you're talking about in order to pay attention. They're interested in music. They're interested in movies. That's why they learn them lines and them music so fast, because they're interested in it. So if they would teach you from where you would be interested in being taught, then yeah. So you
But
right.
that's the thing about it, is most teachers are frown upon certain music, deem rap music is bad music. So they be like, if that's what they won't incorporate that with them. It won't be like, well, if Jeezy had like 10 people in this entourage and 50 had 45, how many is that all together? They'll be able to come up with that.
You know I taught percentage? We watch a college basketball game, and we chart it down. Missed shots, made shots. Okay, what's the percentage? How do you do that? You divide the missed, divide by the total. And that's how you get your percentage.
See, I wouldn't deal with that because I don't do sports, so that wouldn't be interesting.
But that kid was in sports. That's
Okay, then once again, that means when you have to have them smaller groups in order to, to do that 101 thing, that wouldn't work with a whole group.
Because people are trying to universalize education, that they think children learn the same way the whole time. Some learn by writing, some learn by reading, some learn by visual.
Right.
And you have to find that type of child. So now Milwaukee School is failing. The education department and the government that's dictating how teachers can teach is failing.
Okay.
I think we all need to play a part, bottom line. We all need to play a part.
Parents need to be more interested in what they're doing. Can't be rest fully on
one person.
Yeah, but if I'm a parent, I'm teaching my child one way, right? And then she goes to school, I said, my daddy told me how to do it this way. And you're teaching me a different way. How? You're butting heads.
Butting heads. So we talked about major concerns and issues in living in Milwaukee, but if we had the power to change the city, what changes would we make? David Abu, I'll let you go first. What changes would you really make? What do you think will actually help Milwaukee?
Well, like I said, from the education system, and like I said, finding how people learn, and gearing it towards them learning.
Mm-hmm. So you say it's more education and
more
less
education,
prisons?
but not just like education, really understanding how people are educated, how people understand communication and stuff. Because right now it's dead. I mean,
it's dead, huh? Jwill, what changes would you make?
I mean, that's one of them, but Milwaukee has so many problems. My bad. New Mexico has so many problems. It's hard to just find one entity. I mean, like I said, we got a limited activities. We need more job opportunities. We need a lot. You know what I'm saying? We got to buy a new car every year because the streets is tore up.
Horrible.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, where do I start? It's a lot of things need to be changed, but I guess to start, the root of it would be education.
Yes, education would be very important, and it would be easier if we had better education, better schools, more smaller schools than the larger schools, because most kids
However, that's the problem everywhere, though.
True.
And when I say education, I mean like hands-on stuff that you can use in real life.
Right.
Not the square root of 36 or learning all this kind of stuff that you don't need. What do you really need in the real world? Adding and subtracting,
That's
budgeting
very
money,
important.
Do your taxes maybe. There's a simple math, you don't need
math
no calculus
to
go in the real world.
Reading is
unless
very
you be a rocket
important.
scientist.
So it's like, if they can fix the education program where people will actually learn, stop judging people from where they supposedly grew up. Just because a person was grown in a certain way doesn't mean that they don't have the education. Like, I was somewhere and I was here and they was like, well, most of the kids that get in trouble at school come from poor families or broken down homes. That's totally not true. Those are the ones that actually want to learn because they want to get out the hood and have a better life.
Right.
The ones that have the worst lives growing up end up to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had kids tell me, why do I need to learn this? I go, you don't need to learn this. That's stupid. But that's what the leadership is telling you need to learn.
Right.
So it's like, it's a balance of good education, more job opportunities, and just let people know that just because you're raised a certain way doesn't mean that you're not capable of working around in society.
Yeah, we gotta feel like that we not a hinder. Like, the minorities seem to believe that we don't belong, that that we are not wanted here. So it would help if you would, pretty much lay out a carpet for us or something. Can I get a red carpet?
You ain't getting no red carpet,
Well,
that.
I mean, I know I'm gonna get a red carpet, Jwill, but I mean, like, in general, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So it's like, once they realize that just because you apply for certain things, i.e. when we were discussing W-2 earlier, just because you applied for W-2 doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to get a job.
Right.
It's certain circumstances that made you unable to get a job. So for you to say that, like, you just receive, it's reasons why people have to receive those things.
I understand.
Now, granted, the ones that don't do nothing to get the receiving, they shouldn't get it.
But what I'm saying is, when you receive, don't let that be that's it. That's your life.
No one,
a life of receiving.
No one wants to receive just $6.53 a month for the rest of their lives.
Well,
you can't live off that.
There's some people that like to just to
I know I
sit
personally
down.
can't live off that.
Well, I'm not saying
I'm saying
there are people. You can't tell me there's not other people that are doing that.
And I sure ain't got nothing to give neither.
That's like the W-2 is like to help you off the ground so you can go walk.
But you know, it's supposed to help
saying.
you, but they want you to do so much in this time frame, and it's like,
well, yeah, well.
It hinders. It's like, how am I supposed to look for a job, plus go through this volunteering stuff, and plus be able to take care of my children? It's just made it impossible. So those are the things we have to change. That's all. That's all the time we have today on In the Building. Thanks for joining us. I hope y'all was highly entertained. I would like to thank Jwill for coming with me, David Abu.
Thank you.
And of course, it was your girl, Miss PG. And, you know, that was our episode of In the Building.